Hey, my name is Jared Moon, and I'm part of a group of underground athletes you've probably never even heard of before. We don't rely on fancy equipment for training, and most of us don't even have gym memberships. In fact, our motivation comes from within. You see, we have jobs, families, and responsibilities, but we still have big goals, and they aren't getting achieved at a global gym. For that reason, we have to do things differently. Our training has to be smarter. We don't have every piece of equipment known to man or a ton of time to train, and we don't need it, because we are achieving amazing things without it. So how do we do it? If you ask your average personal trainer or gym goer, they'd call us crazy. Yet we're seeing results better than most every single day. And it's happening by blending mental training with physical training and becoming an athlete. What we call, and welcome to, Garage Gym Athlete.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Garage Gym Athlete Podcast. Jared Moon here, and with me is Joe Courtney. What's up, Joe?
Hey, how's it going?
And we also have Al Brooke. How's it going, man?
Good, guys. Thanks.
And this is Joe and I were just talking, this is our first truly international guest on the podcast. So I'm pumped to have you here, because we had Ashley. She lives in England, but she's really she's a transplant, because she's a military spouse who's over there. And we do have a lot of Garage Gym athletes who live all around the world, but you're the first one to hop on with us, man. So I appreciate you waking up early there in Australia and getting on this podcast with us.
Yeah, happy to represent for the Aussies. There's a few more popping up now on the forum.
Yeah.
And in Garage Gym. So yeah.
Awesome, man. All right, so give us a quick introduction, who you are, what you do for a living, and how you train.
All right. I'm 45 years old. Got two young kids, 6 and 8. I work as a national sales manager for an IT company, so I do lots of travel. I've probably been garage gymming now for probably the best part of 10 years, I guess.
Nice.
And sort of stumbled upon you guys maybe just about a year ago, I guess, just through the website. I've always been involved in fitness. I've been a bit of a fitness nut, played rugby pretty seriously for about 10 years when I was younger, and I kind of got into rugby because I started off as a rower and rode through high school and university and kind of got as far as I could go before realising there's a lot of genetic freaks out there, and no matter how much hard work you put in, you can't beat the genetics so much. And it was a lot of hard work, but it did give me an appetite for hard work, I guess, and cruel and unusual workouts. So I guess I'd break the fitness up to before kids and then after kids. And before kids it's pretty easy, and you can go to the gym and get involved in that. But I guess I also was a fitness instructor quite a while ago, maybe 20 years ago, when this whole sort of Globo Gym thing happened. And when I got out, I guess I had a bad reaction to the whole Globo Gym experience and went completely the other way and just went, body weight. And then CrossFit came along, and I thought that was pretty exciting. And then I read a book by a guy called Brooks Cubic called The Purposeful Primitive, and that sort of set me off on sandbags and kettlebells and kegs and things like that. And then the kids came along, and then your whole life changes. So,
Right.
so then not really much happened. And as I said, I travel a lot for work. My trade is kind of like an IT project manager, so I run big IT projects. And in this part of the world, usually that means lots of travel nationally right around the country, but also throughout Asia as well. So I find I'm on the road most weeks, maybe 2 or 3 days, and so that kind of puts a dent in things. And so between that and the kids, you kind of have a narrow window, I call it, which is sort of between about 5:30 and 6:30 in the morning, or between 5 and 6 in the morning to get things done.
Yeah.
And so once the kids came along, wasn't doing too much, I actually got really sick this is probably going back about 2 years ago. Had a really bad infection in my ear, really knocked me around, screwed with all my balance, all that sort of stuff. Couldn't walk. Had half my face paralyzed. Ended up in hospital.
Holy cow.
And really knocked me around. So I lost a lot of weight, was very weak once I recovered, and then I thought I really need to do something about my health and get a bit of balance back in the life. And so I didn't have the time, really. I couldn't see the sense in going back to the gym, and so I kind of made a bet with my wife, and I said, well, if I can create a gym in the garage with what it would cost me for an annual membership, then I'm just going to keep doing that. And that's what kind of happened. So I started off like I guess most people have who come to the garage gym and have a garage and have been working out on a sort of I call it a modified Wendler 531. Always have sort of done lots of aerobics, and I've always tried to keep my training pretty well rounded. And so I did pretty well on that. It got pretty boring, and then I guess I was searching. I think the article I searched for was really around EMOMs.
Yeah.
And you guys popped up, and I read it, and I thought, hey, these guys really know what they're talking about. I could get the science behind it. It was explained really easily, and I really liked the website. But I'm kind of skeptical with lots of those things, so I started off on I think it was just like the free 1 week or 2 week program, and I really liked it. I thought, oh, this is going to work. And then I think I jumped straight into Harder to Kill, and
Nice.
And I think I got about 2 weeks into that and absolutely kicked my ass. So and it kind of made me realise that the whole sort of period before, even though I thought I was training really well and I'd made some good progress, I was nowhere near as probably well-rounded or as fit or as strong as I could be. And so, so from there I was hooked. So I did that, and then I upped up to Garage Gym. I'm trying to think of the program we did. I think it was the one before Airstrike. Was that Accelerate or something like that?
Elevate.
Elevate. Yeah.
That's the one.
Elevate, and before that was Accelerate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many.
Came out of that. Did Elevate, and that was really cool. And after the sort of the two Harder to Kill ones, just finished Shred up till Christmas, because obviously coming into summer, and I thought I will give that one a go as a bit of a change up, just to put a bit of variety in. Really enjoyed the Shred one. I'm kind of built for speed, so anything that's not the long and the heavy stuff is really good for me. And so now I've pretty much identified out of that pushed the strength a fair bit out, and so now doing the OGC. So I'm pretty keen to try and get a bit stronger. I think that I'm ready to push that up, and then I'll probably jump back into Harder to Kill after this next little rotation.
Nice, man. And how are you enjoying the OGC?
Yeah, I like it. I think at first it seems a little bit easy compared to the Harder to Kill, because just the volume is probably not even nearly there.
Right.
But I'll tell you, after the first week, I think I got up to about Thursday, because we're still on holidays here, and I thought, oh yeah, this is kind of comfortable. This is easy. lifting heavy. Feel really good. But I think I slept for like 9 hours that after on the Thursday after the second lot of heavy sets. So yeah, I think that could be a trap for young players there, where you jump in and you think, oh, actually I can do more, and yeah, probably less is more on that one.
Yeah, because
Your
go ahead.
progression is kind of good to note, because you started off with the regular Harder to Kill, because we only had one track. And then now as summer comes, like, okay, I did several months of this, then I kind of want to shred up, and now now I've assessed that I need to get stronger as well, so I'm going to go tackle my strength, just focus on that, and then circle back to Harder to Kill. So it's just kind of good to address that.
And I think it's and the reason I wanted to note that because I know the volume difference, like in going from where you were at to the other guy conjugate strength track. So I was curious how you were handling it, because it probably felt like almost a deload, like you were saying at first, compared to what you were hitting at before. So my own curiosity. All right, so you got the garage gym, man, and so what kind of setup do you have in there?
I would call it a basic setup. So I've got a couple of squat racks. I've got a bar, pretty good bar, cheap bumper plates. Did a DIY lifting platform that it all sits on. Had got a Concept 2 rower, got a C model rower. Had the rings. Had a chin up implement, but it just recently got rid of that because the wife wanted a cross trainer, and so got one of those and ran out of space, and so I'm looking to order a power cage next, so it's all kind of wrapped in. Interestingly, so in terms of the weights, I think I've got about 150 kilos. I think you can convert that to pounds, about 330 odd pounds or something like that. But I think 4 months into the training, and I've maxed out the weights, so
nice.
Probably got to go down the road now and get a few more bumper plates this weekend. What else? So lots of kettlebells, I guess. I actually started my garage 10 years ago with a single kettlebell, just a 16 kilo kettlebell. Mm-hmm. And did that for 3 months, and got a 24, got another one, did sort of the general kettlebell training, and then there was a bit of a mad community here around kettlebells, and so did a bit of Duravoy sport for about a year or so, trained pretty seriously at that, and then I kind of got a bit bored with that and thought, okay, well, need some weights. Got a heavy sandbag. It's probably about 60 kilos, but I haven't really touched that since I've been on the program. Maybe you want to put some sandbag programming in, because I find that's a pretty cool implement to work with. Yeah.
And where, just out of curiosity, because there are probably going to be some other Australians listening to this, what's your go-to equipment manufacturer? Where are you getting most of your equipment?
Yeah, do you have Craigslist? I can't remember.
Facebook Market, eBay. We have kind of like a Craigslist, which is called Gumtree.
Okay.
Oh
yeah. So Gumtree is pretty good. Yeah, I like to sniff around. You can get some good deals. I got most of the weights and stuff from a company called Raw Fitness Equipment, which is down in Cronulla in Sydney. Those guys were just starting out back then. They're doing pretty well. Really good guys. But I mean, pretty much everywhere now. I think it's with the CrossFit sort of movement, it's kind of peaking here in Australia, I guess, at the moment.
Yeah.
There's boxes everywhere, so they're really importing lots of bumpers and bars and all of that sort of stuff. So you can get some pretty good deals.
It's actually where I got my CrossFit Level 1 cert. Is in Brisbane. Right.
Oh, very cool.
There you go.
All right, and so I think we kind of hit on some of this, kind of your background, and what's your overall goal right now for just in training?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, as I said, I've always trained hard. I probably pick, I guess a medium or shorter term goal every year of what I want to work on. Sort of get stronger. When I was sick, it was to get back to where I was. But as I said, I think where I'm now, sort of having turned 45, I think getting to a pretty reasonable level of fitness, compared to where I was. I think really what I'm doing, it's just looking to see how far I can push the butt out, but to keep it well-rounded. I think I don't need to be the strongest guy in the world. I don't need to be the fittest, if you like, but I think to see how far I can push it out in terms of strength and fitness with the constraints that I have. I'd probably like, as I said, I'm on the OGC now to push the strength numbers up. I'd like to kind of get those up to a pretty reasonable level, which isn't probably that far off. Maybe squat 400. Push the deadlifts up a little bit. But yeah, I think for me it's how can I sustain it, but how far logically can I get to with what I've got.
Yeah, without anything falling off. That is the challenge in really balanced programming. Is like it can be a juggle at sometimes. Like, okay, here comes the strength. It's like, oh, here comes my my longer endurance and stuff. But it's a fun game, because it always keeps you challenged and pushing yourself. And one thing I wanted to note on you. So it sounds like you travel quite a bit. What kind of obstacle does traveling, make for you in your schedule?
Yeah, it can make it pretty tough. As I said, depending on where you go. Most of the eastern seaboard now, the hotels I like to stay at, you find the ones with decent gyms, and then you try and stay there. Otherwise, you just have to get good at substituting. I think again, when I first started the program, you get very laser focused on doing everything in the workout.
Right.
But yeah, life's not like that. It's you're not always going to have the time. You're not always going to have the equipment. So for me, it becomes a bit of a game then around how do I substitute, or how do I work. I also mix the workouts up. So like within a week block, generally I'm traveling the back end of the week. So I might take my rest days early, or and then weekends, rather than doing the meet yourself on Saturday, I might do one of those on a Sunday, or I might not do it at all because I'm just catching up with a workout that I missed on a Thursday or a Friday.
Okay, cool. Being flexible with it. All right, man. I would like to ask. So you've been a garage gym athlete a long time, decade. You've been into fitness for a long time. Rugby, rowing. I mean, so this question I think is going to be really cool. The hardest workout you've ever done?
It's got to be something with rugby.
No, look, I think there's probably plenty. I think back when I started up the garage gym, on the forum I was part of there, we used to. I think just like the garage gym, the old forum on the web, we used to just think up crazy workouts, that you would challenge people with. But so there's lots of those. I think really the simple answer to that is the toughest workout you do is the one you're not ready for. And I think mentally more than anything, I've done 24-hour races and climbed mountains and done all that sort of stuff. I still think back, and I used to be in the army as well, and probably the first 6 weeks of basic were pretty tough, even though I was pretty fit.
Yeah.
Just because mentally they mess with you. Hardest workout I think I've done in GGA was probably the second or third week in Harder to Kill, and it was just a regular workout, but I hadn't been training with that level of intensity before. I was doing my own programming, so I was like, yeah, I'm working out. But that sort of set a goal. When someone else sets you a workout and a goal, and you're going to go, right, I'm going to really commit to this, then it can have unintended consequences. And I think it was as simple as the strength part. I think was heavy cleans or deads, and then there was good mornings, heavy good mornings.
Yeah.
And then there was a run, like a 1 mile, a couple of 1 mile repeats, I think it was. And that was all good. So yeah, really, really right into the heavy lifting. And then, I think at the end, the last set was, as many reps as possible. And so I really pushed the boat out, and that's it. I'm toasted. Right now these 1 mile runs. And I hadn't done probably good mornings for maybe 15 years.
Yeah.
So that I was kind of thinking, well, that feels all right, because I was pretty warmed up, from the cleans or the deads or whatever we did before. And then I took off down the road. And when I say I took off, again, you're feeling your way into the program. You're not kind of thinking, how am I going to get through this workout? You're just like, right, I'm just going to attack this. And I think I live on top of a hill, and it's pretty cool, because when you start running, you're running downhill and you can get some speed. But I tell you what, coming back up the hill is pretty hard. And I hadn't done probably any sort of really fast running or fast repeats. I was kind of doing lots of what I would call long, slow jogs, 5, 7, 10 Ks as part of my previous training. And so here I go, smashing it out down the hill. And I probably got about, I don't know, a minute into it, and my back started to cramp. The hamstring started to seize up, and I thought, oh, this is no good. And so everything shortened up, and then the lactic hit, and the breathing starts, and then I've only just hit the bottom of the hill, and I'm halfway, and I've got to come back up again, and all of a sudden I'm toasted. And so I dragged my ass back up the hill, and then there's 2 more. And I think, oh, it's okay. I've got a 5-minute rest. This is going to be okay.
Yeah.
And so that 5 minutes goes quicker than a Lamington at a Weight Watchers meeting. It just flies past, and okay, I can breathe again, and I've stretched my hammies out, and then here we go back down the hill. But the problem I had was, I think it was in an afternoon, my son was playing with his mates in the street, and he's like, he's on his bike, and he's like, oh, I'll come with you. And so I'm going, yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm just, at this point, just considering, how do I get through this workout alive? And so then I take off, probably at a more sensible pace this time down the hill, and he's trundling along. But by this time, once that lactic's in your system, you're pretty constrained, and you're going to struggle no matter what. You're in the suck. So hit the bottom of the hill, start coming back up. By this time, the hammies are so tight, looks like I'm having a stroke coming up the hill. And so I'm getting there, and I probably get about halfway up, and I'm just thinking, I don't know if I can kind of keep going. I might have to even just pull into a walk. And in my brain, it's just going, how is this even possible? I'm a fit individual. And then my son starts screaming at me, because he's on the bike coming up the hill, and he's like, speed up or I'm going to crash. Come on, Dad. And so I had no choice. You've got to keep going. So he drove my ass back up that hill. But I think, once I'd finished that workout, I was absolutely destroyed. But as I said, there was nothing intrinsically probably brutal about the workout, other than I just, hadn't been mentally ready and hadn't really thought it through, and you'd programmed it particularly cruelly, so that, it wasn't the run that killed me. It was all of the multiple cleans and good mornings beforehand that just meant I couldn't run.
Yeah, anytime I put miles at the end of a workout, they're always strategically planned and normally not very fun. But they look so nice and easy,
Just wasn't hard enough.
Yeah,
here's a mile.
I'm a wise to your tricks now, Jared. Now I look at them and I go, hey, yeah, this one. Right.
Like, Thursday's workout, that won't be bad. Or Tuesday, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, the deceptive ones are always the ones that kill you, because you're not going in there mentally ready, but then you're like, holy crap, what the heck?
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, and so
that's that bad.
Yeah, well, because you're like doing for some people like Murph. I love doing the Murph. I think that's just a really cool workout. But yeah, in your head, you're like, this is going to be tough. I'm going to plan it. I'm going to go through it. And I think for me with GGA, that was one of the things that really flicked a switch for me, because reading about the workout, it was like, I think the thing that got me was around better humanology. I guess my goal is really just about how do I become a better human anyway. So that really spoke to me. But the mental toughness thing. I think, it's one of those things where unless you think you can be mentally tough, but unless you actually test yourself, all of the time, it's just like your physical fitness. You don't know how you're going to be able to perform when, things get a little bit hard.
And speaking of that, man, in your opinion, what's the best activity for building mental toughness?
Yeah, that's another good one as well. I think there's lots of things. I think one of the things I really picked up was there's mental toughness is really emotional toughness.
Yeah.
The physical stuff, I think most people can deal with. Your body can be pushed, to extreme limits, and I think it's important to keep testing those limits all the time. That also has an effect on mental toughness. But I think the emotional toughness and resilience, someone close to you dies, you lose your job, those are the things where you really need to keep your head together. I think the biggest thing for me is at the moment, aside from the cold showers and stuff, is because it doesn't get cold here. I'm a big proponent of mindfulness and meditation. I think that's been a massive help to me in terms of my focus, in terms of training and just general mental well-being and all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think that's a mental push for just about anyone, and not enough people practice it, in my opinion. All right, if you could only have one piece of equipment to train with for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, yeah. Everyone says barbell, kettlebell. I'd probably lean towards the kettlebell just because, I love it. But I would say kettlebell or sandbag. I think sandbags are pretty underrated. They're quite a tricky, brutal piece of equipment, particularly as you weight them up. If you get them up around half to 2/3 body weight, that'll test everything from your fingers and your grip right down to your feet.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to say. Since when you brought up, you have that super heavy, was it 60 kilos sandbag? I've done a little bit with sandbags before, and you can do almost anything, work almost any body part with it. And since they're kind of soft, unlike a kettlebell, you can just throw it on your back and go for a run. You can take out some of the inserts, and so that was definitely a good one. And the first.
Well, that's why we don't allow the iron mile with sandbags, because of what you just said. Is because it's comfortable when you put it on your back.
If you put it on your back, it is. If you hold it, it's gonna burn you because it's dynamic weight. I mean, the sand will shift.
Right.
So I guess you get to a point where having it any heavier, I think, than kind of 2/3 body weight, the risk reward's not there because you'll injure.
Right.
Because you've got to move your body to keep under it, if you like. It's
kind of like a slosh pipe. Like a slosh pipe.
Yeah.
You can like fill it up really heavy and like try and prove how strong you are or whatever. But to be honest, beyond a certain point, you put too much water in a slosh pipe and it's not even fun anymore because you can't really do anything with it because it's just knocking you all over the street or wherever you're using it. There's like definitely how much you should have in there. But yeah, really challenging when the weight moves on you, and whether in a sandbag or a slosh pipe or something like that. All right.
Yeah, definitely.
Joe, I think you're up, man, and then I'll close it out.
So if you have a wish list for your garage gym, what would be at the top of your wish list to add? No price.
Yeah. Well, I think at this stage it's a power cage. Yeah, that's the next thing. I got the rower. I think it's the power cage. I think one of the things I still probably get a little antsy about, particularly now doing the OGC, is the heavier squats.
Mm-hmm.
And again, being 45, you learn to challenge yourself, but not be silly. Check your ego, as you'd say. because you don't want injuries. And so I think, for me, the power cage is the next thing. So I can probably have a little bit more confidence I'm going to drop those weights.
I think that would be a good purchase. Always having some sort of safety equipment or something is highly recommended. I mean, a lot of garage gym athletes listening to this. What would be your best advice for everyone listening?
Lots. I think probably. I think there's a lot of information and a trove of tips and tricks. My big advice, particularly for people who are just starting out on the garage gym athlete, is go to the website, look at all of the wealth of information there. I picked up just an enormous amount of really good tips. And probably the biggest one is, I think it used to be, if you went to the website to the crew perks, was the mobility wide.
Yeah.
And I think if anyone on garage gym, if you're not doing mobility wide, just start today, because it's probably had the biggest impact on my form and probably my ability to keep pushing in the workouts.
Even recover.
Yeah,
big time. I think particularly, if you've got a job like me where you're sitting down most of the day, I was quite amazed around the tightness in the hips and hamstrings, and kind of fixing a accumulated 10 years of rugby business in the soft tissue is just an ongoing delight, I would probably say.
Yeah, man, that's it almost prevents you from doing more athletic stuff if you have if your hamstrings have shortened or your hips have really tightened from sitting down so much. Going on a sprint is like a dangerous activity. That's no telling what could happen to you. So I think working on that mobility on a regular basis is of the utmost importance. All right. Al, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's been a blast having you on the podcast. The first Australian guest. I really appreciate your time.
Great to chat to you guys. Yeah, keep up the great work. It's been really inspiring to me. I think you do an absolutely terrific job, and just happy to be part of the community.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.